You've probably been told at least a few times that you need to build out a detailed target market in order to market your business better. Well, I hate to break it to you, but the truth is you probably do. That said, I want to add a caveat because where most marketers are going to sit here and tell you you need to pick one target market and focus and niche, I think there's absolutely value to that. But if you're willing to put the time in, you're more than welcome to have more than one target market. So here's what you need to do in order to actually build out those target markets. Now, here's my little caveat. While you are welcome to have more than one target market, each target market does need to be defined and niched down. So you're welcome to have one target market that focuses on selling to millennial mothers, and then you're also welcome to have another target market that sells to Gen Zers who like to ride motorbikes. That's fine. You can have those two target markets for the business, but you're going to need to build them out separately because Gen Zers who ride motorbikes probably hang out in a different place than millennials who are mothers. Just because, yeah. Okay, so you're going to need to build out the two target markets separately. But again, you want to build out 3, 4, or 5? Absolutely, no problem. You want to build out the target markets because it's going to make your job marketing your business a lot easier. It's going to make it easier for you to figure out where do you put content and how do you design content in a way that will actually get attention, shorten the sales cycle, and increase conversion rates because you're attracting the right person. So how do you actually build out a target market? Well, the good news is there's only 3 steps. The bad news is it probably is going to take a little bit more time than you're hoping it will, but I guarantee it's worth it. So first things to do. First and foremost, start by filling in the blanks. So you want to create, if you don't already have it, basically a list of what information do you need for your target market. And this is probably going to include demographics and psychographics. So you're going to have some information about like age gap or age range and identified gender and family life and jobs and income and home life and how many cars do they have and where do they hang out online and where do they hang out offline? You know, who are their influencers? What are their hobbies? If you aren't paying attention, by the way, maybe pause the video, write those down. Those are the things you're going to want to fill in. But you're also going to want to have some psychographic information, some information about how they think and how they feel. Stuff like, what are they afraid of in their life? What do they want most in their life? What do they hate when they're in the midst of buying? What do they love when they're in the midst of buying? Figuring out information like what are some of their goals and what makes them, anxious or nervous. Figuring out that information becomes incredibly valuable because now I can use that to craft the messaging that I'm putting out to the world. So here's what you're going to do. First and foremost, you're going to fill in as many of the blanks as you can. So first step, once you've got your list of data to collect, you're going to fill in as many of the blanks as you can. So if you already know you want to target millennials who happen to be mothers, then you're going to put in age range. I think millennials are 36, 37, all the way down to like 24, 25 at this point. So you're going to say, okay, so mid-20s to late 30s. Women or women identified, has at least one child, probably 2. You'll want to do some research maybe to figure that one out. But you can say they have to have at least a kid. They probably have a car. Fill up as many of these things as you know off the top of your head. Then the ones you don't know, we're going to go on to step 2. And step 2 is start researching. And I got a tip for you. Google is your all-time bestie for this. Google actually has a ton of really good information. And thanks to their algorithms, they do a pretty good job keeping it updated and relevant. Now, here's my caveat. Before you jump into the comments and start telling me what I need to know, make sure that whatever information you find on Google is validated across at least one other source. So if you find an article that's talking about how millennial mothers are doing XYZ, make sure that information exists somewhere else as well. That doesn't reference back to the previous article, preferably. The other thing to check is when was it published? Sometimes stuff does get on the first page of Google that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. You really want to question how valid that information is going to be for marketing purposes if it's 5, 6 years old. I think I found something on the front page that was like a 2011 article one time. That's pretty old, that's pretty dated, and I did not really trust that information. So double check that information. Make sure it exists in multiple places, or it's a trusted website like a census website, or one of those research databases if you want to purchase access to those. That's going to give you information that is well researched, and you could save yourself a little bit of time doing it that way. But if you're more interested in spending time than money, Google's got you pretty much covered. So now you're going to start researching. You've filled in the blanks. That was step 1. Step 2 is Research as much as you can. Fill in as many of the additional blanks as you absolutely can. The last step is once you've tried to look up everything you can, you're going to do some educated guessing. At this point, you've probably pulled together 5 or 6 pages, if not more, of information about your target market. Review that information and then ask yourself, where would this person be doing X? Where would they be getting their news from? Where would they be getting this from? Where would they be going to ask these questions? And fill in the rest of the blanks with educated guesses. Now, if this makes you more comfortable, you can always mark those educated guesses with maybe a bold or something. So when you get the chance to verify that information by asking a question of someone who's actually in your target market, you can verify that information. But the great news is once you've laid a pretty solid foundation and you've got about 80% of your target market filled out, you can make some pretty smart, educated guesses about what the remainder looks like in order to get the information you need to shorten your sales cycle and decrease the amount of marketing messages you have to put out there, therefore decreasing your total investment marketing-wise and increasing your conversion rate.